Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one is awesome. It's with Judd and Kate Foster from South of Heaven BBQ in Brunswick, Georgia. And they share their journey, which is incredibly interesting. They don't come from a barbecue background or a food background, so we get to hear their path, and they are dead honest about everything. They're number one, they're just the coolest. They're so great. You're gonna love this. They name drop a bunch of people in the barbecue industry that have either helped them, given them advice, or they've gotten pits from that they bought from. It's a lot of fun in that because I didn't know that they had all these connections. It makes sense, but I just didn't know that. But they also talk about the pitfalls of the business, and especially during the pandemic and all these different things. It involves a 500 square foot place, a 7,000 square foot mansion that's haunted. Beautiful place. They had 32 employees. Pandemic hit. Life got crazy. Now they're in Brunswick, Georgia. They seem so much happier. I didn't know them back then, but you could just tell that this is the place where they needed to land. And they're open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. Posted hours till 8 or until they sell out. The off-season hours, which are coming up soon, will be until 6:30. But again, it's just until they sell out. I'll have all their social media below. But check their social media ahead of time because, like good barbecue joints, they do sell out. But this is great. I'm not going to get too into it because I want you to hear their story. If you're listening to this in the car with your kids, we do swear a little. So if that's not something you do around your kids, so you might not want to listen to this in front of them. But I feel like this conversation is just a great way to get to know the two of them. You really get to know them by the end of this, and also get to know their menu. Their menu has been described as chef-driven smoked meats, and after you hear their menu and they discuss it in the last third of the interview, you can tell why. And it sounds just killer, and it sounds interesting and unique. So there's just a lot of things going on in this interview. I can't thank Kate and Jude enough for taking the time. I'll put a link to a map below. They're on the Georgian coast. They're not on the beach, but they're right near the coast. And that's a part of the country that I've wanted to visit for a long time, and I definitely think that you'll want to put it on your list. And so I'll put a map, and there's lots of places to stay around there, lots of places to visit. So it's nestled right there in a wonderful little spot. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. I'm at Kevin's BBQ Joints on all the social media. But at the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. This is nice. I'm glad we finally got this together. Just like everything in life, persistence, right? This is the whole point of this podcast or YouTube show, is to show that persistence helps, and especially in the barbecue business, it's kind of a good analogy.
Yes,
That's all
for
it is.
sure.
Yeah. So you guys, we had talked off camera. Number one, you are in Brunswick. Is that where you are?
Yes.
What is Brunswick like?
Well, it's close to St. Simon's, which is my most favorite place on earth. I grew up down here, and so it was my goal to live here someday.
Okay.
And
We got married here,
yeah,
St. Simon's Island.
Yeah.
So
It's on my list. Oh, so Brunswick is in St. Simon's Island?
it's just over the bridge. So it's still
Okay.
a part of the Golden Isles, but it's just
we don't
over
have
the
enough
bridge.
money to
Yeah.
open a restaurant in St. Simon's.
We're slumming it here in Brunswick, and we love every
Ah.
second of
We
it.
love it.
So there is another place in St. Simon's. Or you guys?
Yes,
Southern
Southern Soul
Soul.
Barbecues in
Yep.
St. Simon's.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys are nice guys. I don't know what your guys' connection is to them, but they've always been really, really kind. Like I've known those guys for, I don't know, 12, 15, I don't know, God knows how long, but they've always been really kind to me. And it's always been this little place that seemed like a beautiful portion of the United States
Yes,
that I wanted to
absolutely.
visit.
Yeah, and they rock it out. And I actually met them working with Brian Furman
Oh,
5, 6 years, 7 years ago.
7, almost, yeah.
So I did one of the festivals out here 7 years ago with Brian Furman, and it was awesome.
wow. So Brunswick, it's a small town then?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys are in a house, right? Or something? Is that?
No, that was so our
Okay.
location we had in we started at it was a 500 square foot. It was attached to a laundromat, was our first brick and mortar.
Okay.
We shared a bathroom with the laundromat. It was
Wait.
terrible.
Yeah.
But that's where we started, and after a year of being open, we had lines out the door and outgrew the place immensely. I didn't have room for storage. So we,
Oh my God.
just in time for the pandemic, we upgraded to a 7,000 square foot historical mansion in Carrollton.
Oh, that's perfect timing.
It was
Yeah.
It
great
was
timing.
awesome. And started my binge drinking, which why I'm not sober.
No, it makes sense. Now, you know what? A lot of people have quit drinking after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Really?
It became acceptable for me to drink a fifth of Jameson at 5 a.m. when I was lighting the fires.
Wow, just to numb your brain, right?
Yeah. But sober life is amazing.
Yeah, we were thriving at the mansion, regardless of that.
Yeah, we were open a year.
So 7,000 square feet, was that like 7,000 square feet of seating space plus kitchen?
A
and all
little
that?
bit of both. We had a kitchen that, I mean, you could play touch football in. Huge.
It was massive.
We called it hell because it was literally in the middle. The mansion was haunted, and the kitchen smack dab in the middle of the mansion. It had no windows,
no air,
no air.
heat.
It was one of the creepiest places to be by yourself at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
especially your mind goes places at that time.
When you've been there for that many hours, it definitely wears on you for sure.
Yeah, you wonder if the hauntings are like real hauntings or they're like cut your braids causing
You're losing your mind.
A little bit of both. I came in one morning and all of our pots that we had hanging on hooks were placed strategically on the floor around the prep tables and stuff like that. That gave me enough, that's that I went out to the car and just stayed by the truck the whole time I was cooking. I was like, fuck that, I ain't going in there.
No way. That's like a Sixth Sense stuff where like he had his hands on the table and all the cupboards are over. Yeah, this is great, and I want to hear more about this. But let's go back a little bit so people can get some information about you guys. So how did you guys meet and where did you guys both grow up?
I am born and raised in Atlanta. I met him at my neighborhood bar in Atlanta in Emmett Park, the Albert. Shout out to the Albert. Yeah, that's how we met. Two drunk girls were convinced that we already knew each other and were engaged, and then he got my number after they left, and then he moved in like right after that. We haven't been apart.
Isn't that funny how that happens?
Yeah.
I'm originally from New York, but I moved to Atlanta when I was 16 to be a rock star, and see how that worked out for me.
You look kind of like a rock star. Like they were.
Yeah, I have definitely got the look. Yeah,
you got that vibe for sure.
Like Pitmaster, rock star, like very similar.
But we met at the Albert, where I started as bartender, and that's kind of started my career as managing restaurants and bars and stuff in Atlanta. But I'd never worked in one, like a kitchen, until we opened our brick and mortar. Her either.
I was a hairstylist for 13 years. I never worked in food, never done anything in food, and until we started catering.
Wow. Imagine too, like and this is a very similar story, not your story, but just people that have no food background, no culinary background going into this, and there's a learning curve. And I'm sure that
absolutely
still learning.
Sure. Every single day.
And then the pandemic kicked in, and there's another type of learning going on. Now with inflation, it's been, well,
the fact that you guys are here talking to me, that's a testament to.
Oh, it really is.
You're smiling and able to laugh. Maybe you're maybe gallows humor too could be that.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can't laugh at your decisions.
And it's a good story, but also too, like, why you don't always want to live your life for a story. But then so you guys started catering. What was the bug? What made you want to do this?
He refurbished a smoker that he had, or that he found or bought. I can't remember, but he refurbished it, and it was like all of a sudden, it clicked, and he was cooking every weekend and, doing random stuff, and we were putting stuff together. And then we were like, we should try and sell this. And we did a couple little things to like people that we knew in Atlanta. And then it just kind of took off. And he started teaching at the Big Green Egg Culinary Center. And I didn't know how to use an egg. Kind of fake it till you make it. I've always used offset smokers.
Do they know that you didn't know? Do they know now?
They might know now.
They gave us one.
Now they know.
They did give us one, so he was able to use one. So technically, he couldn't say he didn't put on one.
It's not a huge learning curve on an egg. I probably still couldn't cook a brisket on it to save my life or something like that. But I faked it till I made it.
Yeah, I know people do it. It's a different. You have to pay more attention in a different way.
Yeah. It's
I
more of
don't
a
think I'd be
direct
able to do
heat.
it.
So
It gets really hot. I know that. I just like, I
Yeah.
hate it. Like, I hope I don't offend any big green egg people, but I don't know how many people are that
Yeah.
use them,
Yeah.
listen to them, and watch me. I have a good friend that has one, and we cooked it. I think this is a long time ago. He cooked one, but he wouldn't. He was very like specific, like he wouldn't let me even touch it or get near it or something.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, how many sides?
Well, luckily, when I was teaching classes, they had helpers there. So basically, I would just entertain people while, these guys that have been doing it for years would watch over my product finishing up, So, hats off to you fellas. You did a wonderful job.
Okay, so if you want to be good, it takes a professional to assist you, a mentor.
Absolutely.
Program. So, but then but still, like, what made you take the leap? Did you guys get a catering truck, or did you just start doing
No, we were set up. We were exclusively at Wild Heaven Brewery in Atlanta every Saturday. So that started a big following for us.
Then we did
in Atlanta.
We did a wedding by ourselves at it was for people getting married at the Fox Theater.
Big group.
And it was a high-end wedding, and it was like 350 people, and me and her did it by ourselves. It was the first time I was
pregnant. Let's go back to that. I was pregnant during this.
It was the first time we both cried at the end of, we're sitting there looking at this massive check, and we got locked out of our house by the time we got back, done unloading. And she sat down and started to cry, and I started to cry with her because I was so fucking tired. And
so it was like a mix of emotions, huh?
Yeah. And I told her, I was like, you get to do whatever you want tomorrow. Go get your nails done. She was like, fuck you. So we scaled back after that and learned to know our limitations of being two people.
That was hard, probably really hard.
Yeah,
it's tough.
And
especially a wedding, it's just there's so much pressure on that.
It's so much pressure. And then after we saw that we could do that, we did Peach Fest, we did Cochon one year, we did Mac and Cheese Fest,
wow.
A lot of little festivals, well, not little, big festivals in Atlanta. We're honored to be invited to do. And then we were actually set to move here before I went on maternity leave from the salon. We were going to move down here and find a spot. And then he found the Carrollton location on Craigslist.
In Craigslist, and I found our little
hole in the wall.
Little hole in the wall.
Oh, okay.
Picked everything off,
and so
was it a restaurant before, and also too South of Heaven? How did the name come about?
I'm a Slayer fan.
It's a Slayer song.
Oh, is it a Slayer song? Like, I'll look that up. I know Slayer, but I don't know. A
lot of people don't know. We get a lot of church going people that come in and they're like, just love the name, and I'm like, I'm glad you love it. If you knew it was a Slayer song, you probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So was it the name of an album or a song?
Album.
It's an album.
And
okay. All right. Well, I'll have to brush up on my Slayer. So I apologize.
My brother, Todd, he's the huge Slayer fan, and we were kind of grasping at straws for a name, and he sent me South of Heaven, and I was like, yeah,
that's it.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, I thought maybe there was something like up north that you guys loved, and then so you guys now are south of it. I don't.
No, I've been doing the smoking thing since I was like 15, 14. And we had me and my other brother had a small catering thing up in, illegal catering thing in New York.
Okay.
Basically just
as most are. Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically just a reason for us to, drink all night long. But that was called Hootenannies. And it lasted a couple years, and then I moved to Atlanta, and,
life took over.
And so I've been doing
So Kate, were you excited about this little 500 square foot place?
I was. Okay. I mean, it was, if you had told me that I would own a restaurant, I would have thought you were crazy. But it became something that I just felt like needed to be done. I mean, there was so much love for what we were doing and so much support that it seemed like the only step we needed. Like that was our next step. We had to get in a brick and mortar, and I didn't think it was going to explode as much as it did. And, we were going to outgrow it as quickly as we did, but Carrollton really welcomed us
Yeah.
with open arms. We're grateful.
The Carrollton community was amazing, and
Yeah.
they still show up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little trippy because I'll be, we're owner operators, so as soon as we cook everything, lunchtime, we're in the kitchen making the plates. We do have a small staff that comes in, and basically when me and her can't walk anymore, I'm like, y'all need to come in. It's 2:00. We've been here since 4 a.m. It's time to switch it up.
Yeah.
And they'll come in and play cleanup for the rest of the evening.
Okay. All right.
We do 85% of our business between
11 and 1:30.
1:30 too.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I think there's a lot of places like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's wham bam. Thank you, ma'am.
So it's tough gauging how much to prepare. That's why we aim at selling out, but being open for our hours that because we get yelled at every week.
Oh, I'm sure.
I came at 7:30. These people are assholes. They don't have food, and I'm like, yeah, I am an asshole.
Yeah,
It has to be the way it has to be.
Yeah.
But we have just about zero waste here. I come in. We're open Wednesday through Saturday. We've tried opening another day because we need it. Actually, if we open another day, it's enough money for us to actually pay ourselves.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Just logistically, right now, we have a 5-year-old named Charlie, and he just started kindergarten, which is they don't warn you about.
They do not.
What
They don't warn you about anything about kids. I don't have kids, but I keep thinking there should be that should be the biggest warning for.
Well, you hear terrible 2s and 3s, and then you hit
4
and 5, and they're like they know more than you, and they're like basically fuck you, Dad. And I'm like,
well, why is it always the same? Why is that? You know what? I think it's a lot of people's friends that have kids. They don't want to tell you.
Tell me.
Yeah.
I tell all. I'm like, no. You think 2 is bad, 4 sucks. And then they're gonna get to kindergarten and they're so tired that all they want to do is yell and scream and then fall asleep. That's all they want to do is yell and scream. And I am not afraid to tell anybody.
Yeah, and my favorites are the people that come out nowhere and are like, oh, you should have another one. They kind of take care of one another. I'm bullshit.
Yeah,
no. It's like saying opening another restaurant just takes care of the other.
No. And there's those magical. There'll be people listening, probably like, my kids are great. Well, there's 4 of you guys out there.
Absolutely. You got more power to you. You got more than one. I salute you.
Imagine, I hate to bring this up, but social media someday, you're gonna imagine phones in 10 years from now it's gonna be a scary world.
It's a different world, when I was a kid, my mom would send me out into the woods with my brother, and we'd be lucky if we came home. Now we can't let our kid walk down the street because the world's just absolutely bonkers.
Oh yeah. We just you'd come home when it got dark. That was
exactly.
And you'd be tired, and I remember too. Also, when I come home from playing, I just drink an entire glass of milk. I can't fathom drinking an entire glass of milk. It sounds so gross, but I could doubt it. I remember.
It's funny. That's actually my I've been trying to get on a health kick since I lost or quit drinking and stuff like that. But still today, just as we're going to bed, I pour myself half a glass of milk.
Oh, you do? Oh, you do?
Yeah, like a giant infant. I need it to go to bed.
Is that a warm glass of milk? Is that the whole?
No, it's got to be ice cold.
It is cold.
Okay. Well, maybe I passed it somehow, not knowingly, on to you, because I can.
I used to make cheese professionally, and the smell of pasteurizing milk still gets me a little bit. So
what cheese come? Because I used to work for Murray's Cheese. You know in Kroger's. I used to open them up this was back in the day.
Yeah, I love. We had some of our cheeses there. Manyfolds Farm was the name of the farm. It was all sheep's milk cheese. I had no idea what I was doing.
The cheese making process is fascinating. I think it's such a cool art. Yeah,
it's one of the jobs I miss most. And
the smell of it still sticks with you.
Yeah. Well, at first, because I didn't know what I was doing, at first they had me on feeding and trimming like the toenails and stuff like that.
Oh, that doesn't sound as much like cheese making.
My first day I hooked it up wrong and the thing just backfired all over me, and I spent the morning gagging. And
it was more like a dairy, or did you work at a dairy, or like a not dairy, but like for?
Yeah, they had it outside. You got to milk the sheep, and
it was the whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
Yeah.
And after I spent the morning gagging, they're like, "Well, maybe we'll move you inside, and you can try your hand at making the cheese." And I did well.
Yeah. Well, that's the part that I think is fun. Like for more farming or that's okay. So with this 500 square foot place, so I'll give kind of people the path. Then once you felt like you outgrew that place, which was right next to a laundromat, that's when you got the house.
That's when we moved into the mansion.
Yeah.
And we were at full, like our full staff, we were at like 32 employees, I believe. And that was including me as an employee. And I think
I still wasn't an employee.
You'll eventually be an employee.
Yeah. And we were counter service at the laundromat. And when we moved to the mansion, it was just laid out. So it was so widespread that we had to do table service.
Yeah. There's like multiple rooms in this mansion. There was an old train car that was a part of it. I mean, the place was exceptionally cool.
It was
I saw the staircase. I think, do you have 2 websites? Like, do you have a website that's still?
Yes, we have one being held hostage and one that I just made.
Okay, good. I'll put a link below because I want people to know that, because when I was like doing research for you guys, I found one and it has like the video of the staircase, like it's a whole montage thing. Okay, and then there's another one that has the menu and all that. Okay.
Which is called what?
It's For the Love of Food at .squarespace.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the live active one now. The other one is being held hostage.
Good. Yeah. That's what I want people to go to the right place. Okay. So it was just a big, beautiful.
Yep, it was really awesome.
Do you think that if the pandemic never happened, that it would have been okay, or was it a tough space?
No, our heating, our electric bill was like
twice our rent,
5,000-6,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And we had the landlords were slumlords. They weren't doing anything, and just.
An old house, I'm sure there's tons of problems.
Exactly.
Every week we had leaks coming through, and it was a nightmare.
Okay. If it wasn't for the ghosts too, they probably weren't happy.
Yeah.
They weren't happy because it was terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought for sure one of them was going to follow me down here.
They probably want to. They really take us.
Get me out of this place.
That's when you know things are bad. When the ghosts want to leave, that's when it's bad.
Right.
So at what point did you make the decision then to?
So then the pandemic hit, and we closed for almost 3 full months. During that time, we were using the food that we still had because we didn't know when we were going to be able to open, if we were going to be able to open. So we cooked for our staff and their families during that time.
Okay.
We did fundraisers for Carrollton, for the other restaurants, things like that, trying to stay active. And, he did some like cooking videos, just random things like that.
Fed the frontline.
Hospitals. We did a lot of that. But then
mostly to keep ourselves busy.
Yeah. For your sanity. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And then when we finally were able to reopen,
there was the opening guidelines, and not one of our rooms, because it was broken up into so many small rooms. When they had the like distancing guidelines in place, we were only going to be able to fit 1 or 2 tables per room. They had to be 6 feet apart. And I was like, we're going to have to keep 30 staff on to still get to these rooms, and people are going to get forgotten if
that's impossible.
So it was impossible.
So we chose to do curbside. We started with curbside. The train car was the only place like open. However, it was, only curbside, and we went down. I had to lay off 28 people.
Oh, that's fun.
It was really fun.
Especially because
I couldn't do it in person. I had to do it over the phone or through email. So I had a lot of fuck yous for that, which
we understand.
I get it, but
Yeah.
Our staff in Carrollton were amazing.
Yeah.
We still talk to half of them on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's not. But that's also that's life. And if you didn't fire them or get rid of them, then you guys would just.
well,
Yeah.
and at
Like
that
it's just
point-
like it's tough. It's a.
Yeah.
when at that point it was like, are we going to be able to pay their payroll? And like, I didn't want to set them up or them and ourselves up for that awkwardness of, like, give us a week and we'll be able to pay you.
Yeah.
They deserve
Because it was unknown too. It was unknown.
Yeah.
Exactly.
well, and they deserve more than that. And I said now's the time.
Yeah.
to find jobs and figure your life out, because we're trying to figure our.
Oh, that's.
And then we, once we were doing curbside, then they finally released a little more, and we were able to only open the train car. So that's the only thing we had open. And we had some outdoor seating, but again, it was just me and one other person running a kitchen that had been run by 8 people. So it was just me and one other person having to run the kitchen for the entire day. And we were it was still great, but it was every single day was unknown. You never knew if people were going to come out that day because of what was going on. You didn't know if your staff was going to have to call out, and then you'd have to close down again. I mean, it was just the whole unknowing, not knowing what's going to happen each day. That was so difficult. But the thing that never stops are the bills. So no matter what, even going through all of that and having such a loss in revenue, what we were bringing in, our bills didn't change.
No.
So it was just this, conversations back and forth for a couple months of just like, are we going to fight through this? And then we'd say, okay, we'll fight through it. Things will get better. And then it would be, do we want to keep fighting through this, or do we want to make a decision? And we finally just, looked at each other, and we did it quick, because we've kind of always been known for just having balls and taking leaps that people are like, that's really, really crazy, but we just do it. And it seems that's what we know. So we just kind of looked at each other in December of 2020, and we were like, why are we waiting? Let's go live where we want to live. I mean, we had this dark cloud over us from everything. And so we closed in December of 2020. And by January 3rd, 2021, we had moved everything down here.
Wow. Okay. So
we were out.
I didn't even have a location down here.
Yeah, we just moved.
I moved. I was like, if it presents itself, it does. If not, I'll find work someplace else.
Yeah, you figure out, but you want to be somewhere. I get that mindset. I understand that completely. And if the main goal was to have a good life, and sounded like you were under a tremendous amount of stress. There's some things I didn't ask, like, what was your menu back? Was the menu the same as when you first started in that 500 square foot place, or?
It grew a lot.
Yeah. We had, a 1-page menu, your average, brisket sandwich, chopped pork. I get bored easily. So we have our specials menu weekly that changes every week.
That came with COVID though.
Yeah, that did come with COVID.
Because we were sourcing everything locally. I forgot about that. So
yeah, and that's also, it pushed us to start buying more local produce and stuff you just don't think about when you get sucked into that vortex. But once you start, distributors start running out of shit, you got to go talk to these local farmers and find sources. Carrollton had a meat packing place
right down the street.
Yeah. And I was like,
let's
go talk to these guys. And that's when we stopped using major distributors that whole period.
Yeah. From April to December of 2020, we were,
I could go into this place and hand pick the briskets I was using.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Shout out to Walker Meats.
Walker Meats, what's up? Miss y'all.
And so too, also, did you had an offset that you had refurbed, right? You said, did you guys have another offset, or?
The Fox Brothers sold us their their thing that they initially started, their venture with. They saw that I was looking for something, and they're like, we got this 108, come pick it up. And I drove to Atlanta in my rickety old Chevy and just, he's like the axle's going on it, so go real slow. It was the scariest hour. It was supposed to be an hour drive. It took me 2.5 hours because as soon as I got on the highway, you didn't even see the bump and the whole thing bottomed out and the front end of my truck almost ripped off. And I was like, okay, we're going to go 20 miles an hour. And I got a bunch of fuck yous the whole ride. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm an asshole.
Sounds like you've had a couple buckets of fuck yous across your journey. Your journey, but we all do. But so yeah, so shout out to the Fox Brothers guys. So
yes.
And actually our new smoker is from Anthony at Swig and Swine.
He's a cool guy too.
Yeah, I had one being built, and it was supposed to be finished the week before we opened this location here, and I found out the guy had been sending me pictures of like
he was scamming.
Yeah, he's
a lot of those guys. Yeah, I've done lists of pit builders and things, and one person all of a sudden just was DMing me crazy stuff, and then I found out later he had stolen all people's photos and put it on his site. Yeah,
he was using his old photos from like a previous build, and I was like, I've seen that freaking picture before, and I looked, and he had a glass of water in like the same spot.
Yeah,
that's and I called him out on it. I was like, dude, you've been sending me the same picture for 3 months. And he's like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I got some of my money back. And
well, that's also good advice for people, because just be careful, due diligence, and also make sure that you get referrals and find out if you're skeptical.
Lots of amazing pit makers around there.
There's plenty of them. Okay, cool. Okay.
Jorge Galindo is looking to get something from him soon. And
he's a cool guy. Okay.
Yeah, I've met a lot of. It's funny. The Texas scene has been really kind to me and Kate. They reach out. Kyle Stallings.
Kyle's what a nice guy.
Yeah, Andrew Soto.
We get a
Andrew,
lot of
I love Andrew. Yeah, he's
Patrick Fegus.
Yeah, Fegus Barbecue.
He stopped up here a few months back.
That's nice. Okay. Yeah, Patrick and Aaron, and I have a show with it. Hey, there's Patrick and Aaron are awesome people. And they'll want to correct you. It's Fegus.
Yeah. I probably just murdered just about everyone's name. It's funny.
I murdered names like crazy.
Well, and especially, we've never met, half of these people.
Of course, yeah.
So it's just, social media branded, and
but you love them, they care about you. Like it's funny. Yeah, there's a lot of people's last names.
There's a lot of support. Blake Stoker.
Blake is that's cool. Like I didn't know that you guys were connected to him too. Blake, I love Blake.
It's all just throughout the pandemic, just kind of reaching out and lifting each other up and trying to just be a part of this awesome community. And we've been really embraced by
a lot of Texas. It's funny.
Yeah.
And you're wearing a Robert Sierra hat too.
Yes. I am.
I wrote him recently and said, I need a couple more. I'll put you on the list. So he's making additional hats. So
I have a hat fetish. You used to see our wall at the house.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I had a problem that I stopped because I had too many, and then a lot of them were boxed up in storage. Because I was wearing also too, like during the pandemic, I didn't care about my hair, so I was growing it out, so I had to wear a hat all the time.
Oh
so
yeah. It
made sense. But okay, so then how did you guys find this place, and were you guys resigned to the fact that maybe you won't be doing catering and barbecue anymore?
He never was.
Yeah.
He never was. I really wasn't. I knew that we would find something. I wasn't going to push it because I was coming down from just the horridness that was the pandemic. I was so stressed out and I could cry at any moment during that whole time.
We still have a lot of
PTSD for sure
going on.
But he was, he didn't stop looking. The second we moved here, even before we moved here, he was on it, talking to realtors, talking to developers, anything that he could. I was more focused on finding the light at the end of the tunnel, finding some happiness. And I started I started teaching at a fitness studio on the island. And so I was just, doing those things and trying to make it seem, somewhat normal for our son. And then we met Michael Kaufman, who's the owner of this property where we are now. And
we started talking to him before we moved. So he was like, he had his own places, but he was also looking for other things that would be a great fit for us. And he's been a savior since we moved down here. We're expanding over a space.
Getting larger, like expanding the location itself?
Just the seating.
Yeah.
Because this was decided about a week ago, and we're still kind of having freak out moments
Anxiety.
about it. But we need an indoor seating, just because our outdoor seating, it's not very well covered, and watching people eat brisket sandwiches in 104-degree weather, sweating their face off. I'm like, I don't know how you guys are doing it, but please keep coming back and doing this. Since then, we spruced it up outside, but there's still just not, it's going from West Georgia to almost, Florida. The difference in humidity I'd be facing. I was miserable the first few months of being open last year in January or in June, July. I was like, oh, good God, I'm not going to make it.
Well, that's tough. And because you guys are 3.5 hours east of or right of Atlanta, or 4 hours? I don't know.
It's about five, about 4.5 hours south of
Google is lying to me. They always do. But that's okay. On the if you were able to go at like 95 miles an hour, you could probably get there.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So and for people that might not know, Georgia does have a coastline, and
it does, and it's amazing. The people that live in Georgia are like, I didn't know we had a coast.
We don't have a beach. We sure do.
Okay, good. That's good that I wasn't there. Like I didn't know until I had started researching like years ago. But still, it's nestled between Florida and South Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then it does get very humid.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that makes sense. You want some more seating that's indoors and
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the end of COVID also brought about me and Kate's kind of. Yes, we care about customer service, like ask anyone that comes through here, me and Kate, we're dancing in the kitchen. We're nuts. It's what we have to do to get our food orders out and be sane and make our job fun. But it makes it fun for, the people waiting in line, watching these two idiots run into each other while dancing.
That's nice. That's good.
So we get the plates out, lickety split. But one thing we've set a precedent upon this business is family comes first.
Yeah.
Smart.
And, it's a catch-22 because I have days where we need to be open. But if I wake up and look at my son and he's just wretched sick, I'm not going to stick him with a babysitter for the day. We're going to co-parent the shit out of him and nurse him back to health, and then we'll open the restaurant when he's ready.
Okay.
And that's one thing we've really done well with this location is I'll take your criticism to heart, but if it's about, us being closed because we're taking care of our child, or our hours are wonky because we're deciding to spend more time as a family, then sorry, find another barbecue joint to go to.
But that's how barbecue joints used to be. Like off the beaten path places are like that. You come in there, or we're fishing today, like for real.
Yeah. I mean, and life is too short. If there's one thing that the last couple of years have taught us is that you just don't know. You have no idea. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to look back and, be like, oh, well, Charlie was with a babysitter 80% of the time, and I could have been spending time with him. Like, mm-hmm. I don't want to look back and regret that. I mean, I'll take some regrets, but that's not one that I want. So
do you guys update people pretty, like, so if people are coming out to visit you, social media, was Instagram the best? Facebook, what's the best that you guys update all the time?
Facebook, Instagram. I do I gauge it about a half hour before I know we're about to sell out of food.
Okay.
I do a post with a time, a date, and this is what we have left. We got
Okay.
5-6 pork sandwiches. We're out of brisket, because I get personally stressed out when, we're supposed to be open till 8 and my staff calls me and they're like, we got 6 pork sandwiches and
It's 5:45.
and and chicken, and that's it. That's the only thing we have in here. So I feel some type of responsibility to at least let people know half the
That's
people.
good. No, that's important.
Yeah. I mean, half people don't follow our Instagram or Facebook, so they'll be pissed off when they get here. But I do try. And I'm okay. I sleep well at night.
And the
knowing that I
phone,
try.
our phone is forwarded to my phone. So I answer it even when we're closed. I answer it anytime it rings, if it's for the restaurant, so that everybody's in the know.
Okay.
But for the most part, our social media we've never paid for any sort of advertising, marketing, anything.
Yeah.
It has been social media since day one, and it has done really well for us.
Yeah.
So any updates, if we're going to be low, anything like that, it's always social media.
Okay. And let's talk about your menu so people know what you guys are serving. What's the staples? What are the staples?
So we have our regular menu where you can get, your pork sandwich, brisket sandwich, and those are just sandwich and a side. We have our plates. So of course you pick your meat, you get a side, and hoe cakes. We have our tacos, our signature tacos that are always on the menu. And those to me are like the hidden gems on the menu.
People line up for her tacos.
Yeah.
Her pickled onions, pickled carrots. They're some of the best I've ever had.
Awesome. That sounds so good. Good thing you're super close to me. Thanks so much.
And then we have our weekly rotating menu. So that's the the people who come in every week, like once or twice a week, they can't wait to see what's on that
they
menu.
Flock.
They love it.
Cool.
A lot of pressure on me on Sunday.
Sounds like it.
Put it out every Sunday, and it's and then we have to figure out how we're going to make it happen by Wednesday. So that's
what's an example. What are a couple examples of that?
I'm trying to see. There's the one from last week. So last week we did a bowl, an Indo-Chinese sweet and sour chicken bowl.
Wow.
So smoked chicken. And we get vegetables from Potlicker Farm, which is a small farm. Local farm.
Yeah. I think I might follow them. Okay.
Yeah. And we get some of their vegetables from them, and whatever they get us that week, we kind of create dishes based upon that too. So our bowls we've started they're very local driven.
Yeah. I tried to, whatever he brings me, I try to incorporate kind of in that bowl. It's kind of our healthy option, but
you can get it vegetarian, which is good because I'm vegetarian.
And I'm all across the board. I'm nuts. My staff hates me because my special Kate looks at the
what do they hate you because it's complex, or is it because it's just
it's just lots of one will have some eggplant chutney, and there'll be 32 toppings and sauces and different things that go into the one dish.
Well, and I also think that part of it too is once you learn a menu at a restaurant, you've learned it. That's good. Yeah. You might get a special every now and then, but here it's every single week you're learning you have your other menu, but you're also learning an entirely new one. So I can see, as someone who's not part of it and creating it, I can see that would be really frustrating, but it's not much. It's never huge. It's just a few things.
But it's weird is this is such not at all what kind of food you're serving, but I always think I'll see a commercial for Jack in the Box or something, and they're every week it seems like they're changing or adding something new, and I keep thinking on a fast food level they have to change their brain every couple of weeks, what? And that's gross fast food, but whatever. But it's still restaurants. I could see why your staff sometimes is damn.
I get it.
When we do our birria taco week, I have to mentally get in the right headspace, and by the end of the week, I don't even know what's going. My brain is completely wiped because taco week is a whole different kind of crazy, and it takes I use a different part of my brain for tacos.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very strange. So
you guys don't have tacos all the time?
We do. We have our house.
The standard taco, and then the beer. Okay.
But then we do a thing called emotional support tacos. And I'll do off the wall tacos. But our birria tacos just slay. People line up for days for them.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work doing them from scratch. It's, a lot of
it sounds like you guys are open late. Like that's those hours, or that's not is it because you have to be? Is that because people come after work, or is that something like how, I wonder?
Well, we started as my goal is always to, and that's where I start getting in trouble
that's where we differ.
I want to grow. Kate, I want to grow while keeping it simple, which is,
it's like a therapy session, right?
Yeah, it is. And Kate's like, leave it the fuck alone.
I'm like, let's chill out. Let's chill.
She's fully embraced the beach life. I'm a fucking hard-headed New Yorker.
Okay, so it's interesting. A good balance. It's a really interesting balance.
We have
balance
always
each other out.
Been a good balance. Yes.
But it also is.
You're doing that thing I just hate when she's too positive.
Being so positive.
I'm like, she's like this morning. I set my goal at the gym this morning, and first thing I call her, she's like, "Did you do it?" And I'm like, "I did. I meet my goal today." And she's like, "Honey, I'm just so proud of you." And I literally look at her. I'm like, "You're doing that thing I just hate. It's just so much positivity coming out of you right now."
Because it's because Kate, it's natural for you, but for him, it feels like artificial or something.
Every once in a while, the beautiful thing that's always been this way about us is like, there are days, I'm not always a sunny, positive person. It's in there, but there are days when I'm like, fuck it. And that will be the day that he is on it and he's ready to, but it seems to just always happen that way.
Funny.
We always end up being the yin to each other's yang, no matter which side we're on,
Okay. No, I get that. No, it's funny too, because I think I'm the same as you. I'll text a friend and say, "How are you doing? How's things going today?" "Oh, great, fantastic." And I'm like, "How the fuck could it be great?" Like in my head, how like where do you get to that space in your head? Like, for me, it's like I could say like, "Oh yeah, things are good." Like things are like, I want to be overjoyed by something. It's not that it's life stuff, but it's just like, it's interesting. That's that's nice to. Yeah, I've been divorced. It would be nice to find in my next life someone that has that.
Well, and
that's nice.
And that goes back to some of the people we've met, even just on social media. Those power couples that are doing the barbecue game. You just interviewed Philip and Yvette, and then you got Lance and Bailey McWhirter. There's a lot of wonderful families that are doing the same thing we're doing and trying to balance that life. And
it's a lot. Yeah, balancing the family life there's a lot of people doing it on their own, but the couples, hats off to them. Like that's not, because there's enough just being in a relationship, but then adding a restaurant and then adding a barbecue restaurant. And then the pandemic, and then a child, it's just, it's amazing that you. But then you guys are though expanding restaurants like seating wise, but it's still like, again, like it didn't totally answer the question about being open till. So you guys are open Saturday, lunch and dinner.
We are open Wednesday through Saturday. Our hours are listed as 11 to 8 p.m. We're about to start our off-season hours, so we'll be closing at 6:30.
Okay.
However, unless we sell out sooner is always there.
Yeah, it's on the door.
It's always
until
there.
We sell out. 8 seem to be right now. My smokers are as full as they possibly can be, and that seemed to be on like just a normal steady day. That would get us straight to 8 o'clock, no problem. But twice a week we have that bonker. 2 or 3 times a week we'll have that bonker ass lunch that clears us out essentially, and then we'll be lucky if we make it another 2 hours into that day. So 5 o'clock we're done. And it
makes sense a lot of places, but some people just don't get that and don't understand that. And And that's
And they may, and that's fine.
yeah, they probably never will. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at a barbecue, so would you
People are
consider
always like, just cook more food. I'm like, sure
It's
thing.
it's that simple.
I'll break out the hot dogs.
maybe you should have hot dogs? Like I've always thought like, yeah, like that's why people have burgers, because like
We don't even have a freezer here, so
Yeah.
we don't do fried food. It's all made from scratch.
and
Every
where,
day.
and where you are, people will probably expect there's probably a lot of fried food. There's probably a lot of
Oh, we have people that walk straight out if we don't have French fries on the menu.
yeah, that's silly, but people, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is. It's very silly.
It's
That
silly.
was one of my things. I got sick of, even with 30 staff members in our last location, I was generally the one cleaning the fryer. And I was like, if we are to do this again, I'm not touching another fryer again in my entire life.
Yeah,
And so we just scratched it and offered potato chips instead. Here you
And
go.
I am happy about it.
No, that's smart, and it is too. Like you walk into a place sometimes and you could smell the fryer, and you're like, they have not cleaned that fryer.
Yeah, they have not
Yeah.
changed that oil. Yeah.
Yeah, oil is just like it's
That
it's
oil
a
is
very
not supposed to be
distinctive.
smoking, sir.
It's got a distinctive smell. So, are you considered Texas meets Brunswick? Like, what kind of style?
I mean, our
Your brisket.
brisket's very Texas style. Even my pork butts. People ask me for rubs. I used to spend so much money on rubs, and I've come to terms that a nice kosher salt and a nice thick, ground pepper. That's how I do my butts now too.
It works.
It works, and it's all you need. Like I want every element that goes into our product to just be just a piece of it. And the smoke, even the smoke flavor. I go to barbecue places and I do enjoy, she's a vegetarian, so I don't get to enjoy barbecue as much as I'd like, because my son apparently is following in her footsteps as well.
I was married, in a past life, I was married to a vegetarian. I know.
But yeah, I'll still go to a barbecue joint and that thick
Overwhelming smoke. Yeah.
I tasted for 4 days, and and that's one thing I love about working on Lang's. It's a very clean smoke if you're running it properly. So a good friend of ours here on the island that owns Certified Burgers and a donut shop his wife owns. It's beyond amazing.
Delicious.
Dulce dough and Certified Burgers. But he described us as what did he say? We're basically a chef
driven smoked meats. So he said chefy. It's a chefy. I can't remember.
But basically chef driven smoked meats.
That makes sense. That's good. That's a good way to describe it, because it's not pinned down to a specific style.
Right.
Yeah, like I did Indian a couple weeks ago. I find cookbooks, especially because I didn't go to school for any of this. I'm an Italian boy, I can cook you Sunday gravy all day, but I don't know, much about other cultures' cuisine. So I have to read quite a bit. A lot of
like a brisket ravioli. You haven't done that yet, or
we did spaghetti.
Not,
We've done it first.
We did a brisket spaghetti
and lasagna.
We do so kind of like what spaghetti with the chili, like that style, like brisket on top of the spaghetti, kind of. Or?
Yeah. But I try to make it not like redneck, like the sauce is just barbecue sauce. Like no one wants to eat that. I'm sorry.
I think that's a Memphis thing. It is. I think with pork.
It is. The barbecue spaghetti where they
I think so.
Get out there.
Yeah, I get that.
So we just try to keep it as well. I do try to keep things interesting
from week to week.
What's on
and
the menu?
And you do have vegetarian options because you're a vegetarian, so you do have
We do have some, like we always have, our pickled veggies, and you can do the tacos that way. Our bowls, we have a rice bowl, you can do a lettuce-based bowl, that kind of thing. So can do that, So we do offer, some weeks it's harder to do like a main vegetarian, but there are weeks where we'll get like local mushrooms and we can do a sandwich out of those and stuff like that.
Nice. So this is a good a destination to travel and stay, right? This is a
Yeah.
vacation-ish, like people could
yeah.
do a weekend or a Tuesday to
Absolutely.
Friday kind of thing.
And
Like
you're
it's
like 7 miles from the beach.
okay.
So
That doesn't
it's
suck at
a
all.
destination. No,
It doesn't
It
suck.
doesn't.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
when we
That's,
fill out, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
I
And
keep
it-
checking my car. We literally just leave the restaurant, throw some shorts on, and we head to the beach.
that's nice. That's killer. And that's an interesting part of the country too to visit. So that because a lot of people haven't visited, and especially if you're in Georgia, like you said,
Yeah.
people don't even know there's a coast. So that would
Yeah,
be
beach.
And there's lots of history around here. Savannah, St. Simon's.
Yeah.
Savannah
if you're
is
about an
Just
hour
north.
north.
okay. Pointing at like it's above me. No.
It's where we are.
It's up there.
Okay, yeah, there. Yeah, but it is okay. So yeah, so that's Savannah's an hour, and then what else you said there was?
There's Jekyll Island, St. Simon's Island, Cumberland Island, that whole little group of the Golden Isles.
that's-
Then you got Jacksonville
Sea Island.
right below us.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville's in Florida. That's
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. That's well, number one. So excited that I got a chance to talk to you guys, and
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
us
From-
too.
from afar, you guys just seemed interesting and wonderful, and like you seem like a couple that I really wanted to talk to. So I'm glad that we got this together, and I appreciate you sharing how difficult and how how wonderful, but also how difficult things have been because people need to hear this, and this is good for you too. I hope that 10 years
Yeah.
from now you can look at this and see what your mindsets are. That's what I'm kind of doing this too for
Yeah.
hopefully for people that they can look back and go, I can't believe I thought that, or wow, that was pretty
Yeah.
crazy time. So
I love it.
I mean, it changed our lives for the better.
Yeah.
Being sober
We
is a blessing. Every day I actually see my son.
Yeah.
And
that's nice. No, it's
it's important.
Mhm.
Being,
no, it's funny too. Like it's
even 4 or 5 beers. Like I wish I could do it. I tip my hat off to the parents that can do it without going above and beyond. The couple glasses here and there. I'm not that guy.
yeah, there's the people
I'm
that
not
can.
that guy either. I'm not that guy. I can't be that guy.
Yeah, no, because it's fun, it's nice, and it's also it becomes a habit, it becomes part of your life that it's to have that clarity is I'm
Yeah.
sure quite wonderful. And because I've been taking care of my mom, I rarely drink. I do like I have a wine and barbecue podcast with Aaron Features, and so I do have wine on occasion, but I don't
I
drink
think
as
I
much.
think I watched some of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do, but I
My mouth started watering and I shut it off.
but exactly, but it's also too like I love that world, but I haven't because I have to stay
Yeah.
very on, and I
For
can't
sure.
and I have to feel good in the morning, or if I'm up till 3 a.m. helping her or something. So it's interesting when you don't drink almost at all for a while.
Yeah.
Like you're like, wow, I was a different person, and also
Yes.
the
For
world
sure.
was a different and so some people don't drink and you don't know about it, and other people it's important to let people know that we're that.
Yeah.
So but thank you so much for doing this. This
Thank
is
Thank you, Kevin.
so
Thank you
great. I can't wait to visit you once things have settled down here. I'm coming out to visit you guys for sure, and I'll come and visit the Southern Soul Boys too. Like it's just
Awesome.
anyways.
Thank you very much.
all right, take care. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.